Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your Miami Heatran. Alright guys, so the Miami Heatran are a team in the NBA, the Newbie Battle Association, I believe it is. And as you can see, we have a very, very different team than we do in the PBL. And I did that on purpose. I wanted to make sure that the 12 mons that I had in the NBA were 100% different from the 12 mons that we have in the PGL, because I wanted to really experience them differently. I wanted to experience both leagues differently and really sort of feel out how everything's going to work, because I want to pursue the league format, but I need to find out how I do best in it. So in the first draft in the PGL, I really went for versatility. And I believe that is going to be very successful. However, in this draft, I went for pick things that can do multiple tasks, but that really excel at one specific thing. For example, Excadrill is the best rapid spinner in the game. It can come in on Stealth Rocks 33 times without any form of recovery, because it only takes 1/33 of its health, roughly speaking, when it comes in on Stealth Rock if it has an odd amount of HP. It is also one of the best Stealth Rock setters in the game, as it has Mold Breaker, so it ignores things like Magic Bounce. Then I went with Latias. I was debating between Latias and Latios. They were both available. I went with Latias because I wanted something bulkier. I wanted something that could still hit hard, but also had good bulk. So I went with Latias because it's a lot bulkier than Latios. Latios does not take physical hits very well at all. Latias can. Latias can take some physical hits. Not as well as special hits, but it can still take them. Then to round out our OU picks, I went with Manaphy. And here's the thing, all of my picks were in 2s. Like, I was the 12th pick. I was the wheel pick every single time. So every single time I had picks in 2s. And they basically went like this. I went Excadrill and Latias. Then I went Manaphy and Mega Ampharos. Then I grabbed Aromatisse and Rotom Heat. Then I went with Swellow and Lucario. Then I grabbed Cryogonal and Whirlipede. And lastly, I grabbed Cinccino and Spiritomb. And I think it'll actually be easier if I sort of explain it in those two-part drafts. So, Excadrill and Latias, I just explained to you. I wanted very reliable hazard removal and hazard setting, because if you don't have Stealth Rocks, your opponent could really become an issue with focus sections. Manaphy and Ampharos. I wanted bulky attackers that can set up or that can pivot, I think is the best way of putting it. Mega Ampharos has, of course, access to Volt Switch. It can't really set up, with the exception of Agility, and Cotton Guard if you really want to. But it has really good switch initiative. Volt Turn is really important in this format. Manaphy has Tail Glow. If you watch the UCL, you are fully aware of the fact that Joey has used that thing to absolutely tear through countless teams, because of how powerful it is. And that was really my process right there. Then I wanted a Cleric and a Fire type. I wanted a Fire type because at that point, I had a bit of an issue with Ice types. I had 2 ice weaknesses and I only had the 1 resistance, and I also had a bit of an issue with ground types, as I had 2 weaknesses but I only had the 1 resistance, or rather an immunity. So I grabbed Rotom Heat because it was a Levitate user and it was a fire type. Granted, it only gets Overheat. However, that's still an extremely hard-hitting fire-type move, and it will absolutely vaporize stuff like Mega Scizor, Escavalier, Ferrothorn, things like that that are 4 times weak to fire. And I went with Aromatisse because I wanted a Cleric, I needed a Fairy type, I wanted a bulky Fairy type, I wanted something that could learn Aromatherapy or Heal Bell, which it does, I wanted something that could Wish Pass, something that could, well, it doesn't learn Baton Pass, but it can Wish and then switch out. It also gets access to screens, it has access to Calm Mind. I have piloted Aromatisse as like a poor man's Reuniclus and done a Calm Mind setup sweeper version of it. So I kind of had, you know, I had started forming an idea of how I wanted to do this draft, which was I really wanted to draft Mons that could do specific tasks and would beat other certain Mons. So the next one that I grabbed was Swellow and Lucario. Swellow is fucking terrifying. A Guts boosted Swellow it's so scary. It has base 125 speed. It has access to U-turn. It has access to Facade. It has access to Brave Bird. It has base, I think, 90 attack. Something like that. It's somewhere between 80 and 100, I believe. And when that is boosted by Guts, Facade tears through everything. It just does. It tears through everything. And the coverage that it has is really, really good. It actually, I believe, learns Steel Wing as well. So you can hit like Piloswine for super effective damage if you want, because Piloswine is a potential issue. And Lucario is a phenomenal setup sweeper. It learns Nasty Plot, Agility, and Sword Stance. It learns all 3 attack boosting dances, I guess is the way of putting it. It also has access to Justify, so it can absorb Knockoff relatively well. It's not that bulky, but it can absorb Knockoff pretty well. It also has access to Aura Sphere, which is the best fighting type move in the game. It has access to Bullet Punch, Extreme Speed, and Vacuum Wave. 3 separate forms of priority. It has access to Flash Cannon, it has access to Iron Tail, it has access to Close Combat. It has access to countless moves that make it a severe threat. The access to 3 separate forms of priority is not to be sort of downplayed. Because having 3 separate forms of priority means that your opponent cannot say he's going to run it physical if he wants priority, or he's going to run it special if he wants priority, because it has access to both. Lucario also makes a very dangerous mixed attacker, which is one of the things that I really wanted to have on my team. I wanted to have a good mixed attacker, which is something that I'm actually surprised I was able to get a second one of in Spiritomb. I will go over that later, but I thought Spiritomb would have gone much earlier in the draft. It did not. I was able to get it as my last, pair. But next up I wanted another Rapid Spinner, and I wanted an Ice type that could outspeed all Dragon and Ground / Dragon and Flying types. I also wanted something that had access to Ice Shard and Freeze Dry. That is what Cryogonal did. It covered literally everything that I needed. It was also another ground immunity, which I was very happy about. I'll explain Whirlipede in just a second, And by the way, the audio probably sounds different. I got a new microphone, the Blue Yeti. It's basically the big brother of the microphone that I had been using, the Blue Snowball, and I like it. I think it sounds really nice, really clean, and the video quality of all of my videos will also be going up because I will be running everything through Audacity and I will be running everything through Premiere to make sure that you have the best quality video possible. Back to this. Trigonal has base 105 speed. Salamence has base 100. Flygon has base 100. Garchomp has base 102. I feel like I'm forgetting one, oh, Noivern doesn't count. Noivern does not count because Noivern is... I don't even think Noivern got drafted. And I'd be shocked if it did because Noivern is not that good. Especially in the League-style format, Noivern is not that good. Noivern is constantly dropping in tiers. Noivern is not something I'm concerned about. But Cryogonal really fit a lot of things that I wanted. It learns Freeze Dry so it can fuck up a Gastrodon, it can fuck up a Quagsire, it can fuck up a Whiscash, and it can fuck up a Swampert. It can actually, and it can really fuck up a lot of those because, and it can fuck up Ludicolo too, now that I'm thinking about it. Freeze Dry is such a good move, and when you have Stab from it also, it becomes extremely dangerous, although I think only Ice-type Pokemon learn Freeze Dry, now that I'm thinking about it. But that was really my thought process with Cryogonal there. It did exactly what I needed to. It has Ice Shard for that Ice-type priority. Granted, its attack is quite low, but it's really to pick things off that are on a Focus Sash. That's really the point of it. It's not to, it's not like Weavile, who uses Ice Shard to outspeed and kill things. It's that thing has a Focus Sash and an Eye of Priority. That's really the purpose of it. As for Whirlipede, Whirlipede is something that I really, really wanted to grab. I would have preferred Scolipede, but I wasn't willing to give up any of the 3 OU picks that I chose for Scolipede. Whirlipede has Speed Boost, but does not have Baton Pass, which I do not care about, because Whirlipede is extremely bulky. It can take any Grass-type hit, it can take any Fighting-type hit, and those were 2 weaknesses that I was having a little bit of an issue with, because I had Manaphy being weak to Grass, and now that I'm looking at it, I didn't have that many other Grass weaknesses, but Fighting was a problem. I had Excadrill weak to Grass, I had Lucario weak to... Fighting. Excadrill was weak to Fighting, Lucario was weak to Fighting, Cinccino, because I knew I needed a normal type on the team, was weak to Fighting, and Cryogonal was weak to Fighting as well. So I knew I needed something that could really easily sponge up those Fighting type hits. And now we have the necessary resistances. We have Whirlipede, which will eat them up for days. We have Spiritomb, which is immune. We have Aromatisse, which resists, and then we have Latias, which resists. Which is another reason why I'm glad I have Latias instead of Latios, because Latios does not take hits very well. The other reason that I really like Whirlipede, it has access to Endeavor. So instead of running an Eviolite, you can give it a Focus Sash, Protect first turn, get your speed up, get brought down to your Focus Sash, Protect again on that turn, and then then you're at +3 speed. You should outspeed just about anything. And then you can go for Endeavor and bring your opponent down to 1 HP, and then pick it off with any form of priority that you have. Aside from the fire-type weakness that they share, Whirlipede, I keep saying that, Whirlipede and Lucario will actually go very well together, because you have a priority user and an Endeavor user. The other thing that Whirlipede, I even said it right at that time, I still stopped myself. The other thing that Whirlipede does is it learns Spikes, and Toxic Spikes. Spikes are amazing. If you set up 3 layers, every Pokemon on the ground will take 25%. And that is glorious when your opponent does not have good hazard removal. That is one of the reasons why I have Latias and Excadrill, because Latias does not get hit by spikes, and I can defog them away. That was really the thing there. That's the other reason why I have Rotom Heat, because it's a Levitate user. I don't want to get worn down by spikes or toxic spikes. That's the other reason I have Rotom Matisse. I need a Cleric. That was really the thought process there. As for the last two, I went with Cinccino because it has Skill Link, and it outspeeds stuff like Galvantula, so I can Rock Blast that thing to death and avoid getting Sticky Webs, because Rock Blast hits 5 times with Skill Link, and therefore it avoids the Focus Sash that Galvantula pretty much always has. Spiritomb, I needed a Dark type to be immune to Psychic, and I needed a Ghost type to be immune to Fighting. That was about it. I also wanted something that was mixed and could learn Will-O-Wisp, because burn spam is fun. That was really the thought process of Will-O-Wisp. I was kind of fixated on getting those two specifically because of what they're able to do. Spiritomb has base 108 stats, attack, defense, Spadef, and special attack, which is really, really nice. Its speed and HP are not that good, but, you know, having over base 100 stats in 4 of your stat pools is really good. And only being weak to Fairy just makes that even better. That was the thing about Spiritomb. I wanted something that was only weak to Fairy, or something that had as few weaknesses as possible. So, that's the NBA draft for me. I will not be releasing any of these months to free agency. Tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, you will have a video where I show you the updated PBL team with the free agency and trades that have taken place, because there are some changes there. And then the day after that, you should have a draft comparison video where I really explain the differences and the similarities between the draft and why I did what I did in each league. But that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. It's very much greatly appreciated. But with that, I'm going to get about. Best luck out there. I will see you all soon. Goodbye.